When we're students and we're fighting for free education here in Canada, it's incredibly important for us to know and to share and celebrate the victories of our compatriots in places like South Africa, in the United States, in Europe and around the world, where we know that students are doing the exact same thing that we're doing here today, that they're fighting for their fundamental right to be able to access a post-secondary education.
I believe that education is the first and foremost transformative power that we have in our societies. And that is a power that needs to be released, and that's a power that everyone should have the opportunity to access.
I think education is an opportunity, and it allows folks that wouldn't have certain opportunities to imagine a different reality. And I think that's why education is a right, and education should be free. And when you allow education to be free, you also allow all the other systems. You can slowly start breaking them down. So when people start learning about systems of oppression, and when people learn about the wealth gap, you can slowly start chipping away at that when education is free and accessible.
Education is a basic human right. It should not be a privilege for those that can afford. Especially coming from a country where we suffered from segregation and oppression. Education, being for just the elite or those that can afford, is another form of segregation and oppression of those that cannot afford.
And this is where it starts, because this is where we have conversations about people about dismantling systems of oppression, and people learning about transphobia and colonialism and things of that sort. And people get educated and they get agitated and they want to organize. And this is the space in which it happens.
I think that young people have found themselves propelling social movements for progressive, equitable change around the world, because we have been the ones time and time again to recognize when things aren't working, when things aren't just, when things are inequitable, and when things need to change.
Students are at the forefront of these kind of movements, because then students can articulate their own struggles and narrate their own stories and not be narrated to by others.
Because there's no doubt that if the student movement didn't exist, there were no one who would be speaking the same opinions as we're doing now.
But our student movement has proved time and time again that our fight doesn't actually stop at fees, that access means more than just tuition. Access is an encompassing issue, and for us it also means the ability to be able to face other barriers when we're trying to get a university or college education. Barriers like racism, xenophobia, Islamophobia, homophobia, transphobia, and all sorts of systems of oppression and discrimination that make it more difficult for many of us to be able to gain access to the same experiences and opportunities as our peers.
There is power in numbers, whether we like it or not.
I don't want my nieces and my nephews and my cousins and my kids to have to go through the same struggles that I did.
The end goal should be to have equal access to education. And one of the things we see is that unless education is free, there is a barrier there, which will especially struck hard on the people who come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds.
And I think it's our duty to fight for our freedom, in the words of Assata Shakur. And I think if no one else does it, who will?